Egboma na-ege ntị, anyị ekene unu ọzọ n'ụbọchị uhuruchi nke taa na Eastern News 24. Anyị si ka nke onye chiri ya zelu. Anyị si ndị be anyị na ọ ya dịrị na mma nụ ya dịka echi na-eche ada agwụ agwụ. Otu anyị kwuru otu akwa ya dịrịrị ise ise ise. Dịka o si dị, ya bụ ife wetekwelu unu n'oge ugbu a bụ gbasịta maka ya bụ ife na-eme n'obodo anyị nọ n'ime ya. Gbasịta maka agụụ dị n'obodo. Maka ya bụ ife mmiri, ya bụ mmiri ejugo awụ ọnụ. Unu ya ga ife wetara unu kwunu ife na-eme na mgbago ugwu. Maka eche na nwere ihe na-eme na mgbadata ebe a Eastern Region, nwere ife na-emenụ. Geenụ ya bụ ife, ike agwụgo ndị ugwu. Fa na-ekwuzi okwu ka onye ọbụla kewa na ha ekweghọzi. Maazị Nnamdi Kanu said this, that there will be a time Nigeria will begging us to go. Because such an eye the problem. The more you create the problem to Igbo man, the more you put a new strategy okay you survive for the economy. Take it or you leave it. So don't joke with an Igbo man. An Igbo man has what it takes to make this Nigeria work. But 5 years na yelu rufa. Then I present I can 5 feet na ayewe na olulu ayewa. Neze ife ya bife na-eme nkịta ya bụ mkpu na ada na north na Yoruba land na ugwu mkpu na ada ge ya bụ ife ya iji maka ya wee bigesia ya ge dropụra ife iche n'iru akwụkwọ gbasịta maka ihe ndị a niile nụgasị. All right, over to you, sir.
Security agencies, they should not meddle with Kanu and allow the process to go through. But this is a fight between brothers, and you get involved, you get burnt. So, but for us, this what we see is another big distraction. It's a huge distraction. Just like the change in national anthem, the timing is suspect. Our people are suffering. Millions go to bed hungry with no certainty of having anything to eat when they wake up. So here we are, areas that have never known what poverty is, fighting it out. So, please, 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 and please, Nigerians and people in Kanu are not in the mood for all of this. And I applaud the maturity of people of Kanu and elders, that they are going about their mind and minding their own business and not getting involved in any violence. The leadership, the government, both states and federal, need to be mature and handle this properly. And that's all I'll have to say. So, we just had a celebration June 12th of 12 years unbroken democracy. So there is a saying, what does democracy mean to a hungry person? It's been 25 years, unbroken democracy. What does it mean to a hungry person? Fellow Nigerians, we need to ask ourselves, is our life better today compared to 28th of May 2003? The answer for everybody in this country is no. Democracy, our democracy is very fragile. And democracy needs to be nourished. It's like a flower. It needs to be nourished, needs to be watered, needs to be given fertilizer. But our politicians are taking this, our democracy, our hard-won democracy, for granted. For granted. Just like they are taking Nigerians for granted. And I say this because I just came back from home. The ordinary worker's salary cannot pay for his food, cannot pay for rent, cannot pay for shelter, cannot pay for other necessities of life. And here we are celebrating. What do we have to show? So, for me, what I said is because President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had nothing to celebrate after his 1 year anniversary, he latched on to June 12th and celebrate. So, for anybody less than 30 years, they give the impression that democracy started 30 years ago, which is false. Nigerian democracy has seen turbulence. Our first democracy was truncated by the military violently too. The first prime minister was murdered. The premier was murdered. We have senior military officers that were murdered. We went went to war because of that. Millions were killed during the war. We came back. We had a military president, military head of state, that no vanquished, no winner. Saw this country through war, through reconstruction, and healed this nation. And we had military rules, assassination of a military head of state. We came back to democracy again. The first executive president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Shehu Shagari, was overthrown by the military the second time. Umaru Diko, one of his ministers, was put in a crate in London to be shipped back to Nigeria. So, for anybody less than 30, the celebration June 12 was giving them the impression that that was the beginning of democracy. No, it isn't. Democracy has a long history, bloody history. And those that fought June 12, Governor Suleimani put it very well. He said that was June 11 before June 12. June 12 was a national voice, a cohesive voice. People were tired of the military, and they voted for late MKO Abiola from Abia to Zamfara. He beat late Bashir Tofa from Kano, a state that is the largest population in the north. Governor Suleimani said they campaigned for Abiola all across this country. So for you to say June 12, and he said the Nadeko element just grabbed it after the meal and started it. But so by doing that, you do a great disservice by sectionalizing or ethnicizing June 12. June 12 is a lot more than sections or Nadeko. There were people that fought for June 12. The president, Bola Obasanjo, was in prison. His vice president, Shehu Arabia, lost his life in prison. We've never had a president and a vice president imprisoned. Many people lost their lives for democracy. So let no few people take credit. And Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should have known better. He is no more a Nadeko person. He is President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and acknowledged Nigerians more than any other person for June 12. And let's move on. So, for me, June 12 celebration was just he wanted to celebrate his 1 year failure of democracy. He needs to do better. Nigerians are groaning. There is hunger in the land. Everywhere we see it. And I took the liberty of doing this. Fellow Nigerians, this is Nigeria. This is what we see. Severe malnutrition in children. This is marasmus.
Where is the
pediatrics? We say the child is the barometer of the family.
Prof, which picture are you showing us, Prof?
The whole family is malnourished.
Prof, can you give a context to
in this country? This is not Sudan, this is not Yemen, this is not Afghanistan, where these countries are war-torn. Nigeria, we've not experienced drought. We are not officially at war, but we are seeing this in our country. And Medicine Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, they have raised the alarm that children are dying from severe malnutrition.
Professor Usman,
inpatient feeding centers are overflowing, particularly in the north. They are having to treat them on mattresses.
All right, Prof.
Nigerians, I did this to prick the conscience of our people, especially our leaders. We in good conscience cannot allow this to happen in Nigeria. Seeing the extravagance and the recklessness of our leaders, buying, building 21 billion mansion, buying aircrafts, buying SUVs, when our children are dying of hunger in this land of plenty.
All right, Prof.
Mr. President, if they are not telling you this is the truth, this is what's happening, our governors do not care. What they do is to give palliative cups of rice to parents, and the children are in the house malnourished, hungry. We should prick the conscience of every Nigerian. This is what we should be talking in mosques, churches, palaces, assemblies, the villa, government houses. We must hold our leaders responsible. This is not acceptable. God Almighty will ask each and every one of us, what did we do when our children are going through this, in this land of plenty? And our leaders are here in Abuja, living it up, buying SUVs, billions. There is a report that in 3 months, 30 Nigerian governors spent 960 billion on their creature comfort. On that day that is certain, God Almighty will ask each and every one of them, what did you do?
Professor
Please
Usman.
be with us stewardship of our people.
Professor Usman,
This is what's happening all across this country, particularly in the north, because of the insecurity. Our children, this is what you see in all of you.
We would like you to put context to the picture that you are showing to us.
Thank you.
All right, Prof, can you hear me? I've been trying to get your attention all day. Are you with me, Prof?
Thank you.
Are you with me, Prof? Can you hear me?
Are you with me?
Yes, can you hear me? It doesn't look like Prof can hear us. We have to go on a quick break and then return so that we can get clarity on the picture that Prof just showed us. Well, you're welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. And we're still with Professor Usman Yusuf. Prof, good to have you back. I was actually trying to get your attention when you raised the photograph that time. And I wanted you to put a bit of context to the picture, because what you're saying is that represents Nigeria of today, especially northern Nigeria. But which picture is this? When was it taken? Who took it? The picture that you showed to us, sir.
This, this, you can see it now, or did you take it off?
No, we saw it earlier, but
Did you take it off?
No, we didn't. We can still see it. So I'm asking, give us context about this picture. When was it taken? In which state of northern Nigeria? Yeah.
Look,
Go on, please.
These are children from a hospital. These are children from a hospital in northern Nigeria. Recently taken.
Where in northern Nigeria, and when was it taken?
Pardon?
Where?
No, I won't tell you specifically. Okay. I won't tell you specifically. Kaduna State.
All right. How?
This is everywhere.
Yeah, go on.
You go to any hospital. You go to any hospital in northern Nigeria, you will see that. At Medicine Sans Frontier, all their feeding centers in the north. June 4th, go and look at their report. They are raising the alarm of warning that children are dying of malnutrition. Children are dying of malnutrition and raising the alarm. So this is true. This is not fake news.
Okay.
This is not fake. It may be shocking, but it's the truth.
Professor Usman, I'd like to come in here because you have
governors.
Please go ahead, and then I would ask my question.
Yeah, what I'm saying, governors need to be visiting hospitals. Like governors of our time, even the president used to visit hospitals and see how patients are. Go to any hospital in this country, not even in the north. You see a lot more in the north because of the insecurity. Go to any pediatric ward in this country, you will see this. What Medicine Sans Frontier is saying is that there has been an exponential increase, almost twice. They are overwhelmed. And go to any pediatric hospital, emergency pediatric unit, you will see that. Marasmus. This is not fake news. This is real, and it is in Nigeria. So all governors need to visit the hospital, and Mr. President, if he can't go, he should send somebody. There is hunger in the land. Talk to doctors, talk to Medicine Sans Frontier. They are raising the alarm before we become like Sudan. This is the way our reality, particularly in the north. Check Medicine Sans Frontier's report June 4th. They are raising the alarm.
Okay, Professor Usman, I would like to
We are
come in
speaking to
here.
those that cannot speak for themselves.
Definitely, and that's what the reason why we're having this conversation this morning. You've rightfully brought up the issue of insecurity, and I would also like to hit you with a double barrel question, starting with the Zamfara State Governor's revelations. I'd like to know what your reaction is to Governor Dauda Lawal's claims that Zamfara in the northwestern part of Nigeria now being the hub of banditry, and that there is no political will from the center to combat it effectively. How credible do you find this assertion that banditry could be eradicated in 2 weeks if the federal government were serious? And that brings me to my next question, which is the federal government's role in insecurity. What are your thoughts on the governor's claim that some agents of the federal government still negotiate with bandits behind his back? Do you believe that the governor's frustration and sense of helplessness are justified, and how should these negotiations be handled to ensure transparency and effectiveness, and as well as the handling of insecurity?
Right, thank you very much. And I've addressed these issues over the last 4 years on this same chair. And we've said it, that Zamfara is the banditry HQ. Is the hub of banditry. Over 70% of all bandits have their return address to Zamfara. This was long before he came. So this is not new news. We've told that, we've shouted that to the President Muhammadu Buhari, his NSA, and all the service chiefs, and all the governors at that time, because we know with facts, we were in the bushes, we know. We see all the bandits, you can get their address back home. So it's not new, and he should know that. Another thing, the reason we're having all this problem in Zamfara, which is really, really concerning to all of us that know this thing, is that the governor of Zamfara is not in good terms with the minister, the immediate past governor of Zamfara, who is now the Minister of State, Defense. So if the governor of a state, you are not in good stead with the center, that you need help, how can they help you? Number two, he said, well, this is what they do. These new governors that have created these militias, they go and meet their people and screaming, no dialogue, no negotiation, and then they come to Abuja and start lamenting and crying, oh, we don't have security, we don't have police, we don't have this thing, we are helpless, some people are doing things behind our back. Didn't you know that? A state governor does not even have control over the yellow fever in the state. What options does he have? The options he has is to work with the center, not fight them. The other option, which is cheaper and most important, which we've been advocating, is find a way to dialogue and cut the bloodshed in your state. I've said it again and again, and the military know that. The military cannot bring peace to us. The role of the military is to provide an enabling environment for dialogue to happen. So these new governors want to go to war, just like President Muhammadu Buhari went to war for 8 years. And he's saying the same thing, exactly the same thing, verbatim. What President Muhammadu Buhari said 3-4 years ago at the palace of his eminence in Sokoto, that he does not understand banditry. The governor of Zamfara State is saying he doesn't understand it. Well, then we're in big trouble. Then what are you fighting? I'm a doctor, you don't have a diagnosis, how can you write a prescription? If the commander-in-chief did not understand it, what was he fighting? If the chief security officer of a state does not understand it, then what are you fighting? First of all, you know, understand it. You don't understand it, you are complaining, and I've always said, and it's very true, problems are local. Solutions must be found locally. All the big plans from Abuja we've been doing over the last 8 years have not worked and will not work, because there's no consultation with the local. The banditry in Zamfara, distinctly different from what you see in Katsina, from what you see in Sokoto, Kebbi, Kaduna, Niger, and Benue, and Plateau. So every governor must understand what is his local issues, Who are the main actors? Where are they? Who are the interlocutors? Who can you talk to? What you have as a governor is to find peace and reduce the bloodshed. There is civil war going around all over the north. The Fulanis are fighting this vigilantes, they are fighting this, they are fighting this, they are fighting this. So when the military comes with their bombs and drones, who do they drop bombs on? When vigilantes are armed and bandits are armed. So, and the governors created all these vigilantes. And I told them, the President Muhammadu Buhari as a commander-in-chief for 8 years, been doing this fight, here we are. Katsina today is, before President Muhammadu Buhari came, we did not know what IDPs were. Now he's left us with 22 out of our 34 local governments under siege, 65%. Borno State is safer and more secure than Katsina because we've been fighting 8 years. So we want to continue this. So the military, the whole military is where it is today. You governors come and say,
I mean, I think we have a bit of a technical problem there, but it was hammering on very important points. As Professor Usman Yusuf,
okay,
we have him back now.
Okay. All right, Prof. Good to have you back.
hear you.
Okay, yes, we can hear you now. Please go proceed. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Right. So what I am saying is that the whole thing is messed up, and the center. That is, the center just sat down and is looking at these governors with their vigilantes. Like, okay, we're waiting for you, you will fail, we know you will fail. And fail they will. Because there is no synergy. There is no way these vigilantes can do anything that the regular military has not been able to do. And I've said again and again, banditry is not a military problem and it can never be won on the battlefield. The role of the military is to provide an enabling environment for dialogue, and dialogue must happen. And the federal government needs to come in force and own this dialogue and make sure there is peace. Hello, we are fighting each other. It is not Mali coming to Nigeria or Burkina Faso coming to Nigeria. No, they are all here. We are fighting each other. Where are the elders?
All right.
Everybody must come in and give space for the military. Military is taking hits all over. We are asking the military to do more than it is supposed to do. Doing police work, doing everything. No, we need to give this military a break by everybody coming in and do what we need to do as citizens. Not just sit down and allow governors to create vigilantes that are essentially increasing bloodshed. Over the last year, this is what we've seen in states that have created vigilantes. So that's not the way to go.
Okay, Prof, thank you so very much. But I would like us to spend the last 3 minutes providing solutions to that fundamental issue that you raised about Medicine Sans Frontières. And I did check it out, and you are very correct. Part of the statistics from them says that Medicine Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, are treated a total of 208,644 that is outpatients for malnutrition in Nigeria in 2023, and a total number of 57,278 inpatients for malnutrition. And they say that the situation is even more dire given the inflation that we have now, and that the outlook for 2024 may be a lot worse. What are your thoughts? Not just to the president, it is important to speak to the president, but what about the 19 governors in northern Nigeria? What about the local government chairmen who are supposed to be closer to the people? What's your word for them given the dire situation of malnutrition that we are facing at this point? Your last 2 minutes will be important to address this matter.
Right.
All right, Prof.
Good. And we like it or not, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the president and commander-in-chief, and it's his government. Everywhere in the world, nobody will say it is Governor Ratna or Governor this. It is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Nigeria that we are seeing this. So he must be proactive and come in and as an emergency feed our people. He gave a directive to release 42,000 tons of grains to give to vulnerables. But guess what? The honest truth is that there is nothing in the silos. Mr. President, there is nothing in the silos. These patients, these kids, do not need grains. They are marasmic. They need high protein milk to bring them back to life. 2 cups of rice that the governors give will not do it. So, Mr. President, you need to keep an eye. This is a national security issue. All your security officers, the NSA, must pay attention and make sure we don't get to what we are seeing in the Sudan or Yemen. The governors, we cannot trust them. Where are our governors in northern Nigeria now? They are all in Saudi Arabia telling God what I do not know with these children in their states. The National Security Advisor should advise the President and tell him we have an emergency. And the governors must stand up and feed our children. It is not rice, it is not maize that will fix these kids. It is high protein milk that will fix these children. And they are all over. It's not only in the north. It's more in the north because of the insecurity. Go to any hospital in this country, including the richest state in this country, you will see this. There is hunger in the land. The child is the barometer of the family. This is an indication of severe malnutrition in this country. Mr. President, for goodness sake, for the love of God, do something about it. Get your national security advisor to be involved in this and solve this problem. Thank you very much.
All right, Prof. Thank you indeed. Thank you so very much for the insightful time on the morning show today.
And by ekenekwen muno dikunu sibe neso ikwana ni ya menelu akwụkwọ na Eastern 24 aisikwa na chukwuka bịa ma ya na iru nchani na n'ofu dikunu sibe na esore n'iru akwụkwọ dịka o si dị ụnụ anụgonu ka ya bụ ife si wee gbata wee kwụrụ ụnụ anụgonu ihe nwanne anyị nwoke kwuru n'iru akwụkwọ ka efe were ikwu gbasịta maka ya bụ ihe ndị a niile nụgasị niile nwanne anyị kwugasị gbasịta maka open grazing bill. Kabaruke drop your own comment on the comment section below. Thank you, and also stay tuned at Eastern News 24.